Happy Hour is presented by Hornitos Tequila. Please drink responsibly.
Another day, another peso. That's it, buddy. What can I tell you? This is the name of the game. You stay alive for another day, you got another peso. That's it.
Welcome to Highly Questionable. What is highly questionable about this table? It's the loudest Cuban thing in the history of ESPN television. That's Jorge Sedano. What do you like on the show today, Jorge?
Guaranteed that Papi makes fun of Derek Jeter on today's show.
Uh-oh, yeah, I guess so. Dale, Papi.
Do you discount the Warriors win due to the flopping beer's eye injury?
Two things that were hard to watch in that game last night. Steph Curry's finger and James Harden's eye. Steph Curry now has his built-in excuse for inevitably, when he has a bad game during the playoffs, we can ask again, as we do annually around here, what's wrong with Steph Curry? Is he totally healthy? Maybe it was that finger injury. And here's James Harden. Last night, the Rockets were close late, but James Harden had to leave for a while because this happened. Yeah, that's hard to play through, and we might have made him a hero, George, last night if he had played through it and then won. That was clearly a mistake. You would think it would affect his shooting, but he came back out and was just fine, and he was doing both the flopping and the shooting. He didn't seem very affected by it.
Yeah, well, he did seem affected by it, Dan. There were times in the timeouts where he was coming out, he was covering his eyes because, obviously all the Jumbotron stuff and the lights were kind of blaring, and he couldn't deal with that stuff. During the game, it didn't affect him as much, but you have to think something had to have been affected in his game. But here's the thing. I don't discount the game altogether for the Warriors. At the end of the day, injuries happen, man, and you got to deal with it. Yes, he missed almost an entire quarter, but that didn't mean that the Rockets shouldn't have boxed out, okay? I know they audited all the calls, but they should have audited how to box out in that particular game because that ended up leading to a lot of Warriors points.
One of the things that I didn't think would happen very much in this series, and he just told you what decided that game. It was offensive rebounds. Houston had the better three-point shooting game. That's exactly what Houston needs to do in order to beat Golden State. Be better at the threes than Golden State is. They were last night, and it didn't matter because they weren't securing rebounds.
Whatever happened to CP3? You know what I mean? The same crap all over again. Whenever he needs to step up his game to be the man leading the team, he lays a big egg. You know what I mean? Harden got hurt, and all of a sudden this guy disappears.
A big egg was laid on the court last night. You don't hear that expression from young people very often.
Should we find it funny that Draymond is complaining about other people complaining about the ref?
We are in a situation where this hasn't actually been very good basketball. The next series in the West is going to feel like anticlimax, but this has had more complaining than it's had good basketball. The thing that you have to say about Draymond, because I'm tired of talking about the officiating as he is how good he is, how bothersome he is to the Houston Rockets. This guy changes the complexion of games through hustle in a way that gets more rebounds that decide the game, where you're sitting here looking for the artistry and the aesthetic beauty of threes and pass basketballs, and Draymond's out there breaking the Rockets over his knee with hustle.
Listen, Draymond is fantastic, okay? No one's going to deny that. But there's some irony here, Dan. Come on. This is a guy who literally goes at the refs and berates them for, a minute at a time. The histrionics on the court, that stuff matters. But he's not the biggest culprit. I do think the NBA has a problem overall. And to me, the biggest culprit isn't even in this series. It was Sean Marks and what he did in the first round when he went into the referee's room, a private room, during the first round of the NBA playoffs against the Sixers and started berating them there. But again, this only is going to be a thing that continues to snowball. Whether it's Draymond, that's one thing on the floor. But when you have executives doing it, I think that should be a thing that the NBA needs to address just overall because it's gotten out of control.
They suspended Marks for that for a game. I just did not know how the hell Sedano was going to get from Warriors Rockets to the Nets GM.
So you're complaining about Draymond's complaining about people complaining about the ref,
complaining about them complaining. You shouldn't be complaining. I have more right to complain about you than you have to complain.
I'm a gas bag. Deal with it.
Do you expect the rest of the Celtics-Bucks series to be more like Game 1 or Game 2?
Okay, he did say Bucks there, right? It sounded like something else. Bucks is what he said. I was more surprised by the first game than I was any game during the playoffs. And the second game was the least surprising of the results because Milwaukee wasn't going to go to Boston down 0-2. I don't expect them to again make 23s because that's a playoff record for the franchise. But I also don't expect Antetokounmpo to go 4 for 17 from the paint the way he did in Game 1 the second worst game of his career. You can't analyze this series any other way than this, in my mind. Milwaukee was a lot better all year. When you've watched the playoffs this year, 1, 2, 3, and 4 have advanced. The better team advances in a best-of-7 series, and Milwaukee is better than them and has the best player on the floor.
But tricky Mike Budenholzer, who told us there was going to be no adjustments for Game 2, that they were just going to stick to their game plan, and he didn't do that, actually. Defensively, instead of dropping back his coverage against the pick and roll, he decided to switch, which certainly made a huge problem for the Boston Celtics. Then on offense, he initiated the offense in the pick and roll with Giannis as both the screener and the guy ball handling in those situations, which then created all sorts of issues for Boston defensively because there was a lot of guys open on the perimeter who can knock down those shots at a 38 to 39% clip. And as a matter of fact, they hit 43% yesterday because of those situations. And if that continues to be the case, then Boston is in real trouble because you're going to have to pick your poison. Either you're going to let Giannis get all the baskets at the rim or you're going to just die with those guys hitting threes.
I think that the guy that blew it last night was Kyrie Irving. How many points?
He struggled last night.
I mean, this is a guy that, he talks big, and when he's in the big stage, he likes another egg.
Another egg,
That's
a
right.
second playoff egg for your perusal.
Right. That's right.
A bigger egg than the Chris Paul egg, but not a bigger egg than the history of Chris Paul eggs.
He hit the biggest shot in Cleveland sports history.
That's also true.
There is an omelet on the floor.
An omelet on the floor
right.
of big broken eggs. That's right. My father agrees with himself.
How should Derek Jeter feel about sending Louis Briston to the minors?
All right, it's Louis Brinson, and it's Jeter, not cheater, and his cheater sounds a little more offensive than that, something we can't say on television. From the makers of the Miguel Cabrera trade, the worst since Babe Ruth, the Marlins now have traded Christian Yelich, a valuable player, value in the modern age when he's great and his contract is long-term and cheap, for a player they just had to send to the minors who hit under 200 last year and now is striking out a third of the time, is clearly not a major leaguer. What he should feel is embarrassed that he overspent on this franchise by about $300 to $400 million, and the result is that they can't actually afford major league players, and that makes them the worst team in the league, and also, as an added bonus, the biggest embarrassment.
In baseball, prospects are suspect until proven otherwise. You had a guy in a cost-controlled contract who was at least a good player and is still ascending player at that point. So, yeah, a total embarrassment when it comes to that. As far as Brinson specifically, though, look, we've seen guys go back to the minors and come back and play well. I'm not going to indict the kid at this stage of his career. It's still very early. J.D. Martinez is a perfect example. He was sent down by the Astros, and he was an MVP candidate recently. So there is still hope for Brinson.
The most offensive part of this, though, if you're someone who cares about South Florida sports, is the idea that they would get rid of two MVP type of players in Giancarlo Stanton and Christian Yelich, and what they replace them with is something that's meant to be cheap, affordable, and isn't major league. They're fielding a minor league baseball team just so that they can catch the money that comes from people watching this.
Got probably more fans in their AAA games than here in the major leagues with the Marlins.
I think that's a statistical fact. I think that's accurate.
Yes, I think so.
Do you believe Kyle Shanahan when he said he doesn't have any problems with John Lynch?
Very strong denial from Kyle Shanahan when he says total BS about a Bleacher Report that he's not agreeing with John Lynch on player personnel. When someone comes out that strongly and says total BS, and Kyle Shanahan is not given to that kind of conversation publicly, I tend to believe that there is no merit to the report. But it doesn't stop us from talking about it here, because that's the only entry we need to talk about football. And John Lynch doesn't have a lot of experience picking players. Shanahan is better and more proven at his job than Lynch is at his. So if they did have some issues over player personnel, I don't know that it would be that surprising.
Well, and he actually used the word. He didn't actually just say total BS in that situation. He spelled it out for everyone in that particular report with NBC Sports Bay Area. So, look, the reality is this. There's going to be disagreement amongst guys in a war room, in a draft war room. That's just the reality of any professional sport. And that's healthy. I don't think that's a problem. Now, look, could there be potential issues? Does he believe he's more experienced than the guy who's in charge? Perhaps all that is true. But again, at the end of the day, they're going to have disagreements. That's just a healthy way of conducting business.
Well, we have disagreements here all the times. For example, Dan wanted you in the show, and I didn't want you here.
That is true. That is true. I forced him on my father. He's been complaining about it for a month. It was in the calendar in his kitchen.
Foisted.
Coming up next on Highly Questionable.
3-1 count this at bat. Pitch.
It's a hell of an angle.
High fly ball down the right field line. Chandler.
Oh, they're friends now.
Oh, no.
And, this is not
longer.
going to be a happy ending, is it? No, they're not going to continue to be friends, are they? Is the thing in his mouth already dead? It's a rabbit. It's a bunny. Oh!
My Son's TV show is presented by Hornitos Tequila, a shot worth taking.
Kidding
Play
me?
of the year.
Are you kidding me?
Did he land on his
He
head?
leaped over the wall, falling down.
What's wrong with the other guy?
The other guy just crashed.
I mean,
that guy's not the play of the year. Other guy.
Oh, the other guy just injured
Oh,
himself?
man, he did land on his head.
Ouch.
That was painful, but I have seen more painful plays.
Last week, softball.
right.
Last week, softball. Sedano, you seen this?
No.
Watch this. Guys, can you slow that down, please? Please slow that down even more than that and just play the video at a very slow rate of speed so you can see all the pain that gets into the face.
No.
There it is. Oh, there it is. Screaming, gasping.
And she let 2 runs score.
I know. My father mentioned that last week.
right.
The girl on
That's right.
second scored. My father's a jerk for mentioning it.
Do you question if this seal flop?
I mean, that's the proper response. This is the worldwide leader in sports. We're in the middle of their daily programming. And the question during the middle of the NHL and NBA playoffs is, do you question if this seal flopped? Oh no, that's not a flop. No, that's not a flop. No, that's how it gets away.
Absolutely not.
That's how I get away from all dangerous situations, just like that.
Just roll over.
That's it, right there.
Yeah, that first one connected.
No.
I mean, come on.
You should never mess with the seal.
What happened? What happened here?
Right.
Oh, I remember this.
Oh, no.
my God.
Oh my
As the parent of a child, I'm terrified.
It is terrifying.
Yes. Oh. Don't forget your glasses, though.
In that incredibly brown water.
Oh, my God.
Unpleasant.
Do you question if this was a happy ending?
Okay, I hope that the way this is playing out is that we're in sports bars all over America and the sound is down and all people are seeing is the graphic. Do you question if this was a happy ending with no video on the screen yet? Let's see what we have here. Oh, they're friends now.
Oh, no.
And, this is not
longer.
going to be a happy ending, is it? No, they're not going to continue to be friends, are they? Is the thing in his mouth already dead? It's a rabbit. It's a bunny. Oh!
right.
The bunny was faking it. What did the
Yeah,
cat get distracted by?
Playing possum, that buddy.
Oh, look at that. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, for dear God. This
That's
poor
not right.
thing.
No.
That is not right. This is so true what my father says. That was not right.
No.
Do you question if this is an effective workout?
If you were saying to yourself while flipping through the channels, I wonder what's the show that has a flopping seal, a bunny meeting an untimely death, and the practice habits of Babe Ruth in the 1930s, you're in the right place.
Long before the first robin of spring appears, along comes Ruth in his annual battle with his waistline. Almost 40 and kind of fat, but the babe still has a lot of baseball in him, according to trainer Artie McGovern.
I like the narration. It's the boys in blue.
Now, what is that? What is that? Come on, that is not an exercise. That no time in history has been an exercise.
Tell me your personal trainer doesn't do that?
Well, I have seen worse workouts.
Is this the Spurrier?
That's right.
Yeah,
There
it's
we
the
go.
Spurrier. Yes, very exciting.
Trainer.
There, is that a worse workout though? I feel like this is a little arm work compared to what the Babe was doing with just, absorbing with his fat a medicine ball.
Highly questionable.
Night King is. Who's the Night King? What is that?
I don't know who the Night King is.
All right, very good. You tell us what to watch on television tonight. We tell you if we're intrigued.
The king of the night.
Tonight on TNT, Blazers and Nuggets.
Oh, consolation basketball over here. It's like the third place games in some of these tournaments. Let's check out a Nuggets fast break here.
1:24 remaining in this first half. And Hart was tripped
Poppy, there's your guy, Jamal Murray.
Oh.
Yes,
That's not his fault, though.
Whose fault is it?
That's Malik Beasley.
You got to know Beasley's clumsy there. You got to know it.
KYP, know your personnel.
Jorge, are you intrigued?
CC, you got 2 top 10 players in the league right now, Nikola Jokic and Damian Lillard. I'm in.
How about you, Poppy? Are you intrigued?
See, I'm very intrigued. But you know something, guys? I think this is the first time we show Nuggets played all year long. We never.
I think it is. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate with the graphics. Our first Nugget highlight of the season. You're welcome.
Tonight on Masson, Cardinals and Nationals.
Adam Wainwright, Poppy. You know who he pitches for?
Oh, it's a big picture for the Cardinals.
That's
no?
right. My
That's
father
right.
knows his
I'm
stuff
telling you,
right there.
I know my baseball, buddy.
That was an
Yeah,
upset,
that's
wasn't
right.
it? Let's see him with a line drive or grounder. What happened here?
And the 0-2 pitch hit up the middle off Wainwright just like he wanted. Kick save.
Veteran
and a
move
beauty.
right there.
And
Kick
directed
save and a
that
beauty.
right to
Yeah.
Goldschmidt. Adam loves Team
I mean,
USA
I think
soccer.
that's just clumsiness.
And they're gonna
I don't
sign
think
him up.
that was something that he intended to do.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Sedano, are you intrigued?
CC, I'm intrigued. I want to see Paul Goldschmidt. I think the Cardinals are playing much better baseball. They're going to be stiff competition for the Dodgers this year.
Serious baseball
There you
analysis
go.
from that chair. Poppy, are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued. Everybody's excited about that play. Listen, I'm not excited at all because it should have been a double play. You know what I mean? When you make a double play on that type of play, then I'm going to be excited. You know, you got to go from second to short to first.
Was there even a runner on first?
Yeah,
There were 2 outs, Poppy.
There were 2 outs.
Yeah.
So you make 4 outs. That's all.
You had 4
So
outs.
you say
Go
one more
back to
out
the
for the
dugout
next
with
inning.
4
That's what I
outs.
would do. That's
Okay.
right.
Carries
What?
over.
I don't think it works like that.
Streaming on TLC, 90 Day Fiancé.
No, last time we checked in with these despicable people, they were arguing and somebody threw an engagement ring down the toilet and flushed it. Now what?
I love the American traditionals. It's your size, Ochi. Okay, you want to play the victim?
Stop talking to me! She destroyed my son and my relationship.
She's a
So how is the sex?
Pretty much non-existent.
sex with Coach the Disaster. I'm not a blow-up doll.
She will not get that green card. I don't give a I will testify against her.
She got what she wanted to destroy you.
I mean, I am weirdly sad and disgusted. Sonano, are you intrigued?
CC, welcome to multicultural relationships in 2019.
Really? Are they like that? That can't be the standard. Poppy, are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued. But listen, I have a prediction to make. I don't think that couple is going to make it.
I mean, a pretty
That's right,
decent
you know,
prediction.
That's
yeah.
my prediction.
Okay,
you know?
and there it is. He said it first, people, okay? When we go back and revisit this, he's going to be right.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching.
The Sedano Show podcast is available everywhere that you download those things.
Gracias.
Somebody give me the Babe Ruth workout.
Somebody give me the Babe Ruth workout.